Good evening to you all. Welcome to another video where we are going to discuss the remaining question related to the topic of preamble, which we were discussing in the previous video. So we had completed up to question number 24. Now coming to the question number 25. All individuals are fully and equally human. This principle is known as. So this question is basically about a philosophy, and this question says that all individuals means that all the person irrespective of time and space, they are fully and equally human. Means whether the person is from any continent, whether from Africa or Asia continent, those person are fully and equally human. Means by the virtue of being individual, they have got some human rights, and they are equal irrespective of time and space. So this principle is basically known as universalism. Means it says that it is a claim which seems to be valid irrespective of time and space. Coming to the next question, which among the following is the correct expression of the term secular in India? So, what do you mean by the word secular, which has been mentioned in our preamble? We I told you that this word, three words were added in our preamble through the amendment of 42nd constitutional amendment, which took place in 1976. So there were three words, and secular was one of them. So what do you mean by the word secular? So there are some words in the polity which you must be very clear. The textbook meaning of this word secular is that a state which do not does not have any official religion. Means the state does not owes any loyalty to a particular religion, though the religion may be present in a state, but the state does not portrays itself like it is a Islamic state or it is a Hindu state. We can take the example of Pakistan, which portrays or which says that it is a Islamic state, unlike India. So India is a secular state, and we know this. We know that this word was added in this amendment, and why this word was added later. Though we know that there were various articles which clearly told that India is a secular state. Like we had article from 25 to 28, right to freedom of religion, right to freedom of religion, which clearly manifested that India is a secular state. But there were some misconception, or we can say that there were some hesitation over adding this word, because in the beginning there might be confusion over this the interpretation of this word secular, because there are two type of secularism, and particularly when we compare Indian secularism and this Western concept of secularism, Western or and Indian. So it was not added earlier so that there might not be any confusion uh, with the interpretation of this word, because in the Western secularism there is a complete complete separation of state and religion. Like France, for example, they had a complete separation that state or religion does not interfere mutually in each other's affair. The textbook example is the France. So this type of secularism is basically called a negative form of secularism. Secularism. Negative secularism. And in the Indian context, as we know that this concept might not be applicable in India, because India is a multi cultural, multi religious society, and it is a typically from the ancient time it has been a religious society. So there are many religions present in India. So this Western concept might not be applicable in the Indian context. So what we adopted a different innovation was that there should not be any official state religion, mm, but state shall treat all religion equally. It means that though the state does not have any particular official state religion, but state might if the state might intervene in a religion, then it must treat all religion equally. Suppose a state is giving fund to a religion, is promoting a particular religion, then it cannot discriminate with other religion. And this concept, which is called a positive form of secularism, positive secularism. So this is basically a difference between Western form of secularism and Indian form of secularism. Why it is called negative form and this is called a positive form? Because here the state is treating all the religion equally, but here there is a complete separation between state and religion. And we can't say that India is a anti-religious. So always remember that India is not anti-religious. So it is not against any religion. All the religion are promoted equally. And we also cannot say that it is irreligious, means that it does not it does not we can say that promote any religion, uh, though it promote all religion. So it is not anti-religious, nor it is irreligious. So you can remember these small differences, and I told you that why it was added later, though we had various provision which manifested that India is a secular state, but there was some hesitation behind adding this particular word in the preamble, though it was added later. So the here the question is asking only that what is the meaning of word secular. So the word secular, that India has many religion, though it is true, but this is not the meaning of secular. India has a religious freedom, it is also true. Following the religion depend on the will of, that is right to freedom of religion, that is present in India. But what is the specific definition of this word secular? So the answer is this: there is no religion of the state. So here the answer is D. So this is the answer, D. So in this way we will learn polity through these questions. I will try to explain all the concepts which are given in the book through these questions. So in a way you will also learn that what type of question and from where the question are asked in the various competitive exams. Coming to the next question. Which of the following word is not in the preamble to the Constitution of India? So you can solve this type of question only when you have some basic idea about the preamble, that what are the various word used in the preamble, though these words are very important. Like socialist word is there, and we know that socialist word is there. Sovereign is also there. Secular is also there. This word public welfare is not present. So the answer is D. So that is the right answer. So we will also learn the meaning of these words. I told you about the secular. I will tell you more about this other word also. Now coming to the next question, that is question number 28. Which one of the following liberty is not embodied in the preamble of Constitution of India? So if we read the preamble, like I will show you the preamble, that it is talking about the liberty, that what type of liberty are given. So justice is of three types: social, economic, political. And liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, worship. So these are the type of liberty which are given in our preamble, that there is there is a liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. So answer is liberty of thought is there, expression is there, belief is there. This economic liberty is not there, though it talk about the economic justice, but it does not talk about the economic liberty. So here the answer is D. Coming to the next question, which one of the following reflect the most appropriate relationship between law and liberty? So this is very application based question. You must be clear that what is the meaning of liberty and what is the purpose of law. So the word liberty has been used, as we know that in our preamble, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. So what is the meaning of this word liberty? So liberty basically means the absence of restraint, means that state should not, or state should minimize the restraint on the people's freedom. They can do whatever they want, but in our constitution there is a restriction that you cannot do whatever you want. Like a textbook example we can take that, suppose you are driving, that then you have to follow the some traffic rules, so that other other are also able to get a chance to cross the road, or some there is a zebra crossing, the people crosses the road, then there is a red light where the people or the vehicles stop. So in this way you are respecting the others right also, you are giving the freedom of movement to other people also, by following the rules, like following the traffic uh, red light rules. So in this way we can say that there is a clear relationship between law and liberty. Like if there will not be any law, then you can't expect liberty. Like you can murder any people if there is no law. It will be like a banana republic. So this concept, uh, we must be clear that options are, if there are some more laws there will be less liberty. That might not be always true. So what is the most appropriate relationship? Here the question is asking most appropriate, though it may be true, but if the question is asking the most appropriate, if there are no laws there will be no liberty. So this clearly suits this statement, that this is the most appropriate relationship between the law and liberty. If there are no laws there will be no liberty, means if there are no laws you will not respect the right of other people. They will not be able to get a chance uh, to express themselves, to do whatever they also want. So I told you the example of this traffic. If you do not follow the rules, the other people's movement will also be hampered. So in this way you can remember that this is the relationship between laws and liberty. If there are no laws there will be no liberty. So the answer is B. Coming to the next question, which one of the following is not mentioned in the preamble of the Constitution of India? So this is talking about the justice. I told you that justice has been mentioned in our preamble, and it is of three types: social justice, second one is the political justice, and third one is the economic justice. So it does not talk about the religious justice. So by seeing the option you can easily eliminate that religious justice is not given in our constitution. So the answer is D. In the preamble of Indian Constitution, which justice is provided to all the citizens. So there are only three types of justice given in the preamble: social, economic, social, political, cultural, social, economic, political. So the correct option is social, economic, and political. Religion is not there. Either here the culture word is not being used in the preamble. So the correct option is D. Now coming to the next question. Which one of the following objective is not embodied in the preamble to the Constitution of India? So liberty of thought is there, economic liberty is there. So I told you that we have solved this question recently, that economic does not talk about the economic liberty. Liberty of faith, expression, belief, worship is there, but economic liberty is not there. So the correct answer is uh, I guess B. So B is the right answer. Coming to the next question, which one of the following is true in relation to the preamble of Constitution of India? The word socialist and secular were not the part of preamble on enforcement of Constitution in 1950s. So we know that it is true that earlier these words were not present when the Constitution was enforced on 26th of January 1950. These words, I told you that they were added later through the that 42nd Amendment 1976. So this statement is correct, and this is the question is asking about the correct statement. The above mentioned word were inserted in amendment in 1977, not in 1977. It was in 1976. That is also incorrect. 85. The year is 76. These words are not part of preamble. We know that these words were made part of preamble in this particular constitutional amendment. So the correct answer is A. So here I want to tell you about this word socialist. That what is the meaning of this word socialist? So basically, if we go through the definition, then the socialist word is basically used for a system, like it is a social, political, and economic system means basically it is economic system which affect all the polity and society. So it is a system where means of production are owned by society, or we can say that in the modern context, state, and the profit is used for social welfare. Social welfare. Like we know that in the capitalism, the means and of production are owned by the private individuals, and the profit is basically cornered by some single individuals. Like we can take the example of Reliance. So most of the profit goes to the owner of the uh, Reliance industry, that is Mukesh Ambani. So but this system is very different from the capitalist model. Here the means of production are owned by the society or state, and the profit is used for the social welfare. How this profit is used? Through subsidies, through various we can say that policies like progressive taxation. Progressive taxation means that as the income increases, the tax on the people increases, and this tax the revenue collected from the tax is used to provide the subsidies to the people, uh, free health, free education. So we know that Manrega, we have Manrega system, we had this PDS system. So India is in that sense a socialist country, but we will learn that how this socialism is this textbook socialism is different from the Indian socialism. So I told you that this is the meaning of socialism. Basically the philosophy behind this socialism is that is to create a egalitarian egalitarian social order. Means there is minimum inequality. Minimum inequality. Like in India, at present, we know that there is a report of Oxfam which says that um, mm, top 1% owns more than 50% of the wealth of India. So in that way, we can say that India is not a socialist country, but the philosophy is of socialism. And so this uh, how this concept of socialism is different in India. So to tell you more in detail about this socialism, I must tell you that basically there are two concepts of socialism which developed and which are more popular. First is that utopian socialism, which was the earlier form of socialism, and second was the Marxist socialism, or we also call it scientific socialism. So these type of socialism were developed uh, in the sense that how to achieve this socialist ideal. So this utopian socialism talks about how the changes in the social order have to be made. So in this particular socialism, changes has to be made through basically appeal to logic, appeal to reason, logic, appeal to sense of justice. So basically it is a type of emotional appeal to the people of the community to make the change in the social order so that it is made a egalitarian society. So we generally call it as ethical socialism. While this Marxist socialism talks that the changes can only be introduced in the social order through revolutionary action. Revolutionary action. So here, this utopian socialism does not talk about violence. It does not talk about the violence. It talks about the appeal, ethical ethics. And this revolutionary socialism, we can say Marxist socialism, talks about the revolutionary action, that there is a use of violence to change the social order. So in between these two socialism, various other form of socialism develop. Uh, like for example, we have democratic socialism, we have evolutionary socialism. So we do not have to go much in detail about these words, but what India has adopted, India has do not have adopted this socialism, neither this Marxist socialism. India has adopted a different type of socialism, that is democratic socialism. So this democratic socialism works on the principle of the democracy, that the society, both economy and society, democratic socialism, it means that both economy and society should be run democratically. Means if the changes has to be introduced in the society or economy, they have to be democratic, not through a violent mean. And in the economic sphere, uh, we, unlike the socialism, like in the typical socialism, there is a state control over the resources, while in this democratic socialism, there is presence of both private and public sector, or we also call it as a mixed economy. So we have this concept of mixed economy. We have presence of both private and the public sector. So there is no monopoly either of public nor of private. So India is neither a fully capitalist country nor fully a socialist country. So in this way, you can remember this basic philosophy, basic terminology, meaning of different terminology, which has been used in the preamble. So here I told you much more in detail about this word socialism, like we discussed about the secularism earlier. So both the particular terminology has been discussed. So here the answer was this A, because it was added in the 42nd amendment in the 1976, as they were not earlier present at the time of enforcement of the constitution. And there was one more word, which was integrity. It was also added. So these three words were added. So coming to the next question, which part of the Indian constitution has been described as the soul of the constitution? So this statement is basically a very statement based question, that who said these words. So this preamble has been called as the soul of constitution by B.R. Ambedkar. So always remember, the soul of the constitution is the preamble, and it was said by B.R. Ambedkar. So here the answer is preamble. And in this way we can also remember some of the popular statement about the preamble. The K.M. Munshi, a member of drafting committee, defined preamble as the horoscope of our sovereign democratic republic. So these questions are sometimes asked in the various exam, that who said this. Like next question is that, who among the following called the preamble of the Indian constitution as the horoscope of our sovereign democratic republic? So it was K.M. Munshi. So there is nothing to explain in this type of statement. You can remember that who was that person. So K.M. Munshi is the right answer of this question. Who termed constitution a sacred document? So it was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. We know that he was a member of drafting, he was the chairman of drafting committee. In which of the following cases Supreme Court held that the preamble form the part of constitution? So we have discussed this statement, or this question, that is the preamble part of constitution or not. We discussed two cases. First was Berubari Union in 1960, and second was Kesavananda Bharati. So I told you that in the Kesavananda Bharati case only, uh, the Supreme Court held that the preamble formed the part of the constitution. But we know that this is a famous case, so we know that in this particular case, and the Supreme Court said it is a part of constitution. But there are various other cases from time to time where the Supreme Court repeats the same verdict. So I also do not know the answer. We will try to know the answer of this question, that is C, at Bombay. So this was a particular case, SR Bombay case in 1994. We will learn about this particular case when we discuss a famous case where there was a dispute between center and state. Center and state. So in that particular case, this question of center state dispute was resolved. So SR Bombay, in this case also, the preamble, the Supreme Court said that the preamble formed the part of constitution. But primarily in the Kesavananda Bharati case, it gave a judgment that the preamble is the part of constitution. And do remember that in the Berubari Union, it said that it was not a part of constitution. So this statement is SR Bombay. Coming to the next question, in which case did Supreme Court first declare that the preamble is not a part of constitution? So I told you that it was in the Berubari Union. The Supreme Court told that preamble is not a part of constitution. So the answer is A, Berubari 1960. In which of the following cases Supreme Court regarded the preamble as a part of basic structure? So it was in the, we know that second case was the Kesavananda Bharati case, where the Supreme Court said that preamble is a part of constitution, but though it can be amended, but it should not destroy basic structure, should not destroy basic structure. So at the same time, while delivering the verdict that preamble is a part of constitution, they the Supreme Court also cautioned the government that it should not destroy the basic structure. And this doctrine of basic structure was also introduced in this particular case on the Bharti case in 1973. So the answer is case on the Bharti. Coming to the next question, that is question number 40. Consider the following and arrange these in chronological order. First is Golaknath case. So these are very famous cases. Case on the Bharti case, 24th constitutional amendment, and 42nd. 42nd we know that it was also called as mini constitution. It was in the year 1976. And when we read more polity, then we will know about these cases. Like case on the Bharati, it was in 1973. I told you that doctrine of basic structure was introduced in this particular case, and the Golaknath case was in 1967. So these two particular cases are related to the amendment of constitution, and we will discuss in the chapter of amendment to the constitution about these cases. So how the government reduced after the Golaknath government introduced 24th constitutional amendment. So tell you in the brief, in the Golaknath case, the Supreme Court basically said that the government does not have power to amend the constitution, and consequently the fundamental right. So the government reacted to this verdict of Supreme Court and amended the constitution through 24th amendment, constitutional amendment, and it gave itself the power to amend the constitution and also the fundamental right. So these are the cases which we will discuss in more detail when we discuss the amendment of the constitution, that how the various amendments were done in the constitution, and how the Supreme Court reacted and the government responded. So for as of now, you must know that the chronology is that Golaknath was the first case 1967, case on the Bharati 1973, uh, and this 24 1971, and 1976 was the 42nd. In this way you can arrange the statement. So the answer is A, 1 2 3 1 1 3 2 4. So coming to question number 41, economic justice as one of the objective of Indian constitution has been provided in. So we know that in the preamble it has clearly written that justice are of three types: economic, social, political. So preamble is there. Directive principle of state policy, fundamental right. Is any mention of economic justice? No. Fundamental right and directive principle. Fundamental right is not there. Preamble is there, but with preamble, what is the correct option? Directive principle is state policy. So if we have any idea of directive principle, then Article 38 talks about the three type of justices, like which are political, economic, and social. So the correct answer is B. And for this, you must be have some basic idea of the directive principle. So this Article 38 says that states shall strive to promote the welfare of the people by securing, protecting as effectively as it may a social order in which justice, social, economic, political shall inform all institutions of national life. And preamble, we know that it has been clearly written the economic justice. So the correct answer is B. That is preamble and the directive principle of state policy. Coming to the next question, the ideal and objective outlined in the preamble of the Indian Constitution has been further elaborated in. So we know that these ideas has been much more discussed in the directive principle state policy, fundamental right and these fundamental duties. So we know that the preamble is the soul of the constitution. It is basically the crux of all the provision of the constitution, and we know that these all chapter talks about basically the whole, we can say that what has been given in the preamble. So the answer is C. Like I told you that in the directive principle of economic justice is given. Economic justice is also given in the preamble. In fundamental right, we have talked about the uh, liberty of thought. We have freedom of religion, so it is given in the preamble, and it also given in the fundamental right. In the duties also, we have to we can say that, like dignity of individual and the fundamental right duties also, there is a dignity of citizens. So in this way we can say that there is a overlapping. Basically the crux of this provision is the preamble. So in this way the C is the right answer. Coming to the next question, the mind of the maker of the constitution of India is reflected in which of the following? So here the answer is preamble, because we know that it was the vision of our leaders, that what type of India we want. So the idea, the objective, the nature of the state which we wished was basically given in the preamble, and there were further more elaborated provision in the constitution. So we can say that the mind of maker of constitution of India is reflected in the preamble. So here the answer is A. The objective of Indian constitution is reflected in which of the following? So I told you that nature objective is basically all reflected in very philosophical manner in the preamble. That is B. We know that the crux is given in the preamble, but the further elaboration of this provision, that what will be the objective of the Indian constitution, is basically given in detail in the various provision of constitution. So if we talk about the objective reflected in the which are the following preamble, if we talk about the mind of the maker of constitution, then it is preamble. So you can easily solve this type of question. How many type of justice has been enshrined in the preamble? We know that there are three type of justice: social, political, economic. So answer is B. Coming to next question, the preamble given in the constitution. So these are the statement about the preamble. It is not enforceable in the court. So I told you that it is just a declaration. It is not enforceable in the court. So this statement is correct. It is important to have utility. That is a general statement. It is important. It describes the aim of governance. That is also true. We know that objective, various type of liberties, justice. So these are the basically the aim of the governance. Help to give judicial meaning to our constitution. So I told you that it helps in the interpretation of the constitution. So in a way it helps give a judicial meaning to our constitution. So that statement is also true. So except one, all the statement are true. So first is also true, because it is saying that it is not enforceable. So that is also true. So the correct answer, the all the answer are correct. So these are very general statement. Except this, it is not enforceable in the court. You must know that it is not enforceable in the court. And I told you that it has a role in interpretation. So this statement talks about the interpretation. I have told about the objective. There is objective. It is important. Obviously it is an important part of our constitution and has a utility in the sense that there is always taken help of the preamble in interpreting the constitution. So answer is all the statement are correct. Coming to the question number 47. What is the legal nature of preamble of the Indian constitution? It is enforceable. That is incorrect. It is not enforceable. That statement is absolutely true, that it is not enforceable in the court. So we can say that it is non-justiciable. So coming to question number 48. Which one of the following factor constitute the best safeguard of liberty in a liberal democracy? A committed judiciary. So we know that centralization of power can never be a safeguard against the liberty. So that for sure it is incorrect. A committed judiciary. Basically, a judiciary may be committed in what sense? It may depend on the values of the constitution in that particular country. So this seems to be right, but that depend on the polity of that nation. Polity of nation. Suppose it is a authoritarian state, then judiciary might act differently from a country where there is a democratic government. But we will see that is it correct or not. Elected government. So elected government, this is not a basic criteria or a very vital criteria that it is a safeguard against the government, against the liberty. Separation of power is basically more appropriate, because when there is a separation of power, we know that in our Indian constitution also there has been clearly mention of separation of power between legislative, executive and judiciary, and this separation of power was basically introduced to have a check and balance system. Check and balance. So if judiciary or executive intervene uh, in the liberties, civil liberties of the people, then the judiciary uh, take the charge to act against these legislature and executive. So in this way, these all three organs have a check on each other, that they do not exceed their power. So the correct answer is separation of power. And I told the reason that why the centralization cannot be there, because it is a type of despotic, autocratic system where there is no guarantee of civil liberties, because a person is himself a judiciary, it is legislative, it is executive. So we can't expect in such a system that there will be safeguard of liberty. And a committed judiciary, I told you that it depends on the polity of that nation. So that is not the more appropriate, but it may be true, but the more appropriate answer is that separation of power. One of the implication of equality in society is absence of. So I told you the absence of, that is, if there is equality, equality means that there is no discrimination. So there is absence of basically privileges, means our fundamental rights clearly says that there should not be discrimination on the basis of any we can say that any factor, any race, religion, caste, economic privileges, social privileges. So basically the one of the main implication of equality in society is absence of privileges, that rich and equal, rich or poor, whether the person is rich or poor, they must be treated equal. Absence of restraint, that is basically liberty. So absence of competition, that we say at monopoly. So the most suitable is privilege, and we can easily guess out the answer of these type of question which are philosophical in nature, if we have a understanding of that what is the meaning of equality. Coming to the question number 50, a constitutional government means. So for this we must know the meaning of this constitutional government. Constitutional government, basically government which derives its power from constitution, derive power from constitution, and is limited by constitution, and limited by constitutional provision. So in a sense that it is a government which is a, we can say that a limited government, that its power are limited by a fundamental law of that state. So here the correct option is a government limited by the term of the constitution. So always remember that a constitutional government is a limited form of government. Limited in the sense that there are various restrictions on the government, that they do not harm the civil liberties of the people. There are some rights given to the people. So in that sense, it is limiting, because there are some limitation. So up to that extent, government can intervene in the matter of liberties of people. So how far can intervene? So in that sense, it is a limited form of government. So here we are ending this video, and uh, only one question is left. So I think we must discuss this question also. Which one of the following is correct? Social equality is not guaranteed in our constitution. We have social equality. Social equality already existed in our country. So we know that there was a caste system, which we can say that was not based on social equality. Social equality is guaranteed in our constitution. That is true. So we know that social equality has been guaranteed in our constitution. There are various rights, the right to equality, article 14 to 18, which talks about the equality before the law, equal protection of the law, and there should not be any discrimination on the basis of caste, class, religion, or any other identity. So here we come to the end of this video. And in this way we have completed this topic of preamble. So in the next video we will discuss some other chapter. So if you like our video, please like, subscribe, share, and do comment in the comment section, uh, so that we can uh, improve in a constructive manner. Thank you and have a nice day.